Good morning, everyone. I am Jenny Balbin, your reporter for today, and I will discuss two topics: conventional learning resources and distance learning. Conventional learning resources is needed in order to enhance teaching and learning process. The teacher needs teaching aids and instructional materials to enhance teaching and learning. Instructional materials are defined as print and non-print items that are rested to impart information to students in the educational process. What does conventional learning means? Conventional learning refers to conventional teaching and learning within a brick-and-mortar classroom facility. It uses the traditional way of teaching, using chalk and board for teachers, pen and paper for students. Conventional education uses traditional teaching learning methods in which the instructors or the teachers and the students or the learners are involved in interacting in a face-to-face manner in the classroom. These instructors initiate discussion in the classroom and focus exclusively on knowing content in textbooks and notes. Traditional as conventional education. Traditional education is also called customary education or conventional education. The main motive of traditional education is to pass on the values, manners, skills, and the social practice to the next generation in which is necessary for their survival. There are many examples of instructional materials that we can use to enhance teaching and learning, such as flip cards. It can be a charts, Realia, blackboards and chalks, textbooks, charts, pictures and posters, maps, atlases and globes, worksheets, crossword puzzles, quizzes and storytelling, scientific apparatus, materials and modules used in classroom and science, diorama, magazines, newspapers, dictionaries, encyclopedias, and other reference books. And in order for us to more visualize these are the sample pictures. Flip cards or flip charts, Realia, blackboards and chalks, textbooks, charts, pictures and posters, maps, atlases and globes, worksheets, crossword puzzles, scientific apparatus or laboratory equipments, diorama, magazines, newspapers, dictionaries, encyclopedias, and other reference books. Instructional materials have several roles in teaching and learning, which includes the following. First, it promotes meaningful communication and effective learning. Second, it ensures better retention, thus making learning more permanent. Third, it helps to overcome the limited classroom by making the inaccessible accessible. Fourth, it provides common experience upon which late learning can be developed. Last, it encourages participation, especially if the students are allowed to manipulate material use, according to Brown et al. 2005, Affiong and Igeri 2015. Instructional materials are supplementary materials in which it helps the teachers to make her presentation concrete, effective, interesting, meaningful, and inspiring. It is important to understand how to develop instructional materials. Instructional materials are a great help in stimulating and facilitating learning of the learners. Many media and many styles visual presentation are useful to the language learners. In language learning and teaching process, learners use their eyes as well as their ears, but their eyes are the basic in learning, according to Wright 1976. These are the examples of conventional learning resources. flip cards or flip charts, Realia, diorama, writing board, wall display, rope and pole board. Flip cards. It is a card bearing information as word or numbers on either or both sides. Used in classroom drills or in a private study. One side can have a question and an answer on the other side. It can bear vocabulary, historical dates, formulae, or any subject matter that can be learned via a question and answer format. It's also widely used as a learning drill to aid memorization. And these are the examples of flip cards. Another example is Realia. Simply put, Realia refer to authentic objects from real life that one uses in the classroom to teach a specific concept. Realia can be both physical and virtual as long as it is something used in a real world. Realia can incorporate what's already in your classroom, such as a desk, chair, or posters. Or it can be something you have brought from outside class, like a collection of colorful brochures, a stuffed animal, tickets, or souvenirs you got while traveling. And these are the examples of Realia. Another example is diorama. Diorama are small scenes created of layers of materials, all depicting a similar concept or theme. A diorama is often used as a learning tool to help show a student's understanding of a certain subject matter. In reality, a diorama is much more. A diorama is a three-dimensional scene used to creatively express learning. The usual display are the historical time period, a nature scene, or a fictional situation. And these are the examples of a diorama. Another example of conventional materials are writing board. A writing board can display information written with chalkboard or blackboard, or special pen for whiteboard. The writing board is the commonly used visual aid. Visual learning is particularly important in primary classrooms. While writing information and ideas on the whiteboard or chalkboard frees users from having to remember important information. Displaying information helps create shared group knowledge. And this is the example of writing board. Wall display. Displaying items in classroom wall is a well-known, tried and tested educational method. A wall display is a collection of many different types of items and materials put up on a wall to make interesting and informative display. In the classroom, the display consists of the student's work. Maintaining a good standard of visual display in school is important because, number one, they communicate power messages about what is valued by the community. Number two, they help to build a culture of learning within and beyond the classroom. Number three, they help to give purpose and value to children's work. Every child's work matters. And this is the example of wall display. Rope and pole board. This board consists of two parallel horizontal poles tied loosely together with rope. This kind of display board is invaluable where there are few solid walls for displaying information. And this is the example of rope and pole board. There are also guidelines when designing conventional instructional materials. 1. Unity. Use only one idea for each visual aids and include a headline. In designing conventional materials, it should be uniform and know many ideas in order to avoid unorganized visual aid. Second, simplicity. Make ideas and relationship simple and easy to recall. It should be direct to the point and avoid too wordy. Number 3, legibility. Make letters big and readable for all in the audience. Make sure that the materials are readable from the distance where the audience sits. Number 4, consistency. Use the same type, style, and art style. Number 5, clarity. Avoid type that is too small to read. Avoid all caps. It must be clear and use letter appropriately. Number 6, quality. Make it neat and professional, and remember to proofread in order to attract the audience and make them focus and listen to the lesson attentively. So these guidelines may help a lot in constructing and creating conventional materials in presenting in order to enhance the lesson and make the presentation not boring and pleasant to look at. Okay, we need to bear in our mind the different ways of how to use the conventional materials. It is necessary that we should use an appropriate materials for our learners or in accordance to the level of their learning and styles. It should also attainable wherein it can successfully attain the learning objective that we set. But of course, we cannot deny the fact that the best and effective instructional materials is the teacher himself, herself. This new normal, some of the conventional materials was transformed into virtual or in online platforms. Being a teacher, it is depending on you and to your students what learning materials you will use in order to the teaching and learning process be effective. You can apply conventional materials to have an effective and meaningful lesson, and the students will gain learnings and ideas through the materials. For my resources. And now, let's move on our second topic, the distance learning. Distance learning, also known as correspondence education or home study, is a form of education where there is a little or no face-to-face interaction between students and their instructors. Distance education, also called distance learning, is the education of students who may not always be physically present at school. Traditionally, this usually involved correspondence courses wherein the students corresponded with the school via mail. Today, it involves online education. Benefits of distance learning. It provides flexibility for students to work at their own pace. Second, it does not require commuting. Third, live and study from anywhere while pursuing your education. Last, can study and work at home at the same time. There are two learning approaches of online learning. First is the synchronous distance learning, and the second is the asynchronous distance learning. Synchronous distance learning. As we all know, synchronous means at the same time. It is a type of online learning that happens in a real time. This means that you, your teacher, and your classmates interact in a specific virtual place through a specific online medium at a specific time. In synchronous distance learning, you can have your online meeting with your teacher and classmates once or twice a week for active discussion, immediate feedbacks, and instantaneous questioning. Synchronous communication might be through educational video conference, interactive webinars, chat-based online discussion, phone calls, live streams. Communication platforms for video conferencing. The Google Meet, Zoom, Skype, Facebook Messenger. For virtual class meeting, you have to check your devices, have a strong and stable internet connection, have a quiet and comfortable place for the meeting. Asynchronous distance learning. Again, asynchronous typically means not at the same time. It is a student-centered teaching method that uses online resources to facilitate learning without requiring students and instructors to be in the same place at the same time. Interaction of teachers and students does not happen in real time. In asynchronous distance learning, your teacher will provide you materials for reading, lectures for viewing, assignments for completing, and even exam for evaluation. In asynchronous, the materials can be accessed 24/7. You can also finish all your requirements within your flexible time. Asynchronous communication might be through emails, forums or discussion, pre-recorded videos, learning management system like Moodle, and other social media platforms. To access the materials and submit the requirements, you have to use your device such as laptop or tablet, have a stable internet connection, have a comfortable place to study. Distance learning is a way of educating students online and reducing the face-to-face interaction. Lectures and learning materials are sent over the internet. Students work from home and not in a classroom. In the distance learning, we can use different approaches such as the asynchronous, synchronous, modular, technology-based or online learning, and the TV or radio-based instruction. There are many platforms that we can apply for the teaching and learning process to be more fun and meaningful.